to the Wanderers History Podcast, and to the second episode of the series, Ottoman Titans of the Mediterranean. Today we'll be talking about one of the most important and feared admirals from the Mediterranean in the first half of the 16th century, Hayreddin Barbarossa, a name of two parts, first one being given by Suleiman the Magnificent himself, coming from the Arabic Khair ad-Din, meaning the goodness of the faith. The second name meaning red beard, from Italian. His birth name was Khizr. Born in the second half of the 15th century, some argue around 1470, in the Ottoman island of Midilli, Lesbos, now in Greece. He was the younger brother of Oruç Reis, who had also been a corsair and ruler of Algiers. Until 1518, Khizr and Oruç would partake mostly in raiding operations against Sicily. The capture of Algiers in 1516 was accomplished by the Ottoman brothers Oruç and Hayreddin Barbarossa against Salim al-Tumi, ruler of the city of Algiers. With the capture of the city of Algiers came the attention not only from Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain, but also in Constantinople the Porte of Sultan Selim I, and after 1520, Suleiman the Magnificent. Also, to protect himself against Spain, Oruç decided to join the Ottoman Empire and cede his title as Sultan of Algiers to Selim I. This came at a price, as Oruç wanted governorship and de facto rule of the new Ottoman province. Not only that, but he also wanted a chief sea governor of the West Mediterranean and everything that entailed, including support with the Janissaries, galleys, and cannons. In 1518, while trying to defend Tlemcen against the forces of Charles V, Oruç died, paving the way for a much younger Khizr to inherit everything, including his title. This would be the solid political foundation for Barbarossa to ascend to the pinnacle of Ottoman naval power. In 1522, Barbarossa would send a contingent of ships to aid Suleiman's fleet at Rhodes. 1526, he would raid many ports of Italy such as Campania, but also Spain and Sicily in 1530. He would assist the Moriscos at every opportunity, and after 1530, a long withstanding rivalry of the Genoese Andrea Doria would begin. By 1537, he would capture many Venetian islands such as Tinos and the Duchy of Naxos, and tried to siege Corfu while also raiding the Calabrian coast under Spanish control. It took Pope Paul III to form a Holy League comprised of Venice, Genoa, Spain, the Knights of St. John at Malta, and the papacy to form a coalition against Barbarossa's Ottoman fleet. Hence, the third largest battle in the 16th century Mediterranean history was fought at Preveza. It is here also where we see Turgut, later known as Dragut Reis, who would be covered in another episode. Andrea Doria's inconsistent tactics led to a spectacular failure, as almost 50 ships of the Holy League were either captured or burned, with 3,000 soldiers being enslaved. Doria's lack of determination, a recurring theme that maligned Venetian naval battles during the two wars of the Ottomans, had led to a catastrophic loss which sealed the fate of the Venetians in the Third Ottoman-Venetian War, which ended in 1540. Barbarossa then would be seen at Toulon, harboring his fleet there in 1543. Barbarossa proved keen on the Franco-Ottoman alliance directed against Charles V. For 6 months, France provided supplies to a large Ottoman force led by Barbarossa, who also went to Genoa to negotiate with Andrea Doria the release of Dragut Reis. Barbarossa would retire in Istanbul in 1545, after he established an incredibly powerful and well-organized Ottoman navy, with few ever matching his record. Fernand Braudel names the 5 years after his retirement as a period of peace in the Mediterranean, where Western European powers could recover from the marauding, persistent campaigns of Barbarossa. Brodel also argued that the period between 1534, 1540, and 1545 were periods of Ottoman supremacy in almost all the Mediterranean, mostly because of Barbarossa. The situation would become so serious that Habsburg diplomats even tried to convince Barbarossa to defect and turn arms against the Ottomans, maybe in exchange for the whole of the African coast. Alas, it never came up to anything. Barbarossa also ensured that his legacy would not only be continued but also built upon. Through the training of Dragut Reis, Barbarossa secured a new leader for the Ottoman naval colossus that would only be halted in 1571 at Lepanto, and even then, temporarily. In 1546, Barbarossa died, being buried in a mausoleum designed by Suleiman's chief architect, Mnar Sinan, in Beşiktaş, Istanbul. He had been a pillar in Suleiman the Magnificent's military, and a reason for the continuous success experienced by the Ottomans against the Venetians, Spanish, and the Habsburgs. Because of him, partially through the efforts of his brother as well, most of the North African coast had been easily incorporated in the Ottoman Empire during Selim I, and afterwards Suleiman the Magnificent. For this I would argue that among the other Reises/Ottoman chief admirals of the 16th century discussed in this series, he would be the one with the most impressive record and overall most influential and impactful. Charles V, Venice, Andrea Doria could do little to nothing to even put a dent in the maritime military machine he presided for almost half a century. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode about Hayreddin Barbarossa here on the Wanderers History Podcast. Please stay tuned. The next episode will be discussing Turgut or Dragut Reis, called by Francisco Balbi in his account of the Great Siege of Malta as, quote, the uncrowned king of the Mediterranean, unquote.